Pick 3, Melbourne.
Player number 215163, Angus Brayshaw.
Just being in the club and being in the environment, it's a great place to be, and words can't describe how happy I am now, excited I am for the future as well.
Very good Brayshaw, 19 touches coming up for his 20th from a week. Is a big day, and he's been so clean.
First season player, number 3 draft pick, likes tackling. Does he like a goal?
Hey, that's a big one in this game.
Max Gordon,
Kennedy Harris.
Brayshaw. Over the top, Brayshaw has to settle. Now he's got to work his way around. Ellis, brilliant goal. Demons are away.
Oh, mate.
Good to see you. We've got a present for you, mate. Under a start, boys.
Good
Go on, son. Shoot, mate.
You found someone to say yes. Quite amazing.
Howie flicks it over the top. Angus Brayshaw back with the flag.
On the biggest stage of his life.
From 40 metres out, hit it, sweeps! Brayshaw propels the Demons back to the lead with 4 consecutive goals.
Oliver back to Brayshaw. Needs a clean pick up. Got it, run into an open goal. He has to kick 50 metres plus and straight. This is a fine start for the Dees.
You can look at Brayshaw, storm through the middle, one bounce, long and low towards Big Max. Thank you very much.
Jake Spencer. Yeah, no, I love that. It's worth mentioning. It's not
That day, they were both that good. That was a breakout day.
Max, yeah. Oh.
Pencil was as good.
Yeah.
Were you there? Well, no, he would have been there.
I'd gone to everyone before and said, I'm not going. We're up at 3/4 time. So I drove down to the last one.
You missed it.
Yeah.
I was there, greatest day of my life.
That was a good day. I was in America, actually, and I watched it.
Jeffy Garland.
Oh, God.
Number 10, Angus Brayshaw.
This is an extended cut. This is
Yeah. Wish it went for longer.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Welcome to the official, unofficial podcast of the Melbourne Demons, the DeeBrief. I'm your host, Adrian Horton. I've got Caden MacDonald in the studio with us. Kados.
Naughtsie, thanks for having me, mate. A little bit flat, but hopefully the spirits get lifted in the next hour.
Not going to lie, I was very close to crying at work today. But anyway, we push on. We've got a very special guest in the studio. We have none other than Dees Nuffy, Brodenkelly with us. Broden, welcome.
Hello, DeeBrief audience. G'day, demonland.com fan base. G'day, demonology. Do you remember demonology? Shout out to all my demonology people. Shout out Demonland. Go Dees.
Love it. And 1/3 of Aunty Donna, of course, host of the Footy with Brodenkelly. And you like to reference it a lot. Once worked at the MCG.
I do talk about it a lot.
So which claim to fame is it? What do you want to be tonight? Dees Nuffy, 1/3, host of the Footy, or once worked at the G?
Do you ask Iron Man, do you want to be Tony Stark or do you want to be Iron Man? Or because I'm ready to go with any of them.
Okay.
I can answer any question about the MCC. I can talk about being a full Demons Nuffy, or we can just sit here for an hour and talk about Gussy.
Or we could talk about what happened to demonology. Like it vanished.
Yeah.
It actually did vanish.
Wait, do you remember this?
No.
Yes, he's too young.
Too young.
How old are you?
28.
Yeah, see,
I think we're the same vintage.
Yeah, I'm 35 as of about a week ago.
34.
Yeah.
Turning 35. Same
I'm
vintage.
the oldest. So I lived through the longest drought.
You did.
Well, that's good. There was... Okay. I first got into the dark web of demon fandom in about 2009.
Ooh, that's late.
Yeah, see, okay, you were on it earlier.
Oh,
cool.
very early.
But the first time I got onto it was when there was was the day Brock McLean announced he wanted to trade.
Oh, bro.
And so I was like, I need to know more than what's being offered. There was no Instagram. There was a bit of Facebook, but not that much. I need to find a place where I can talk to people about this. And then I think it was Demonology or Demonland, where there was not only talk about Brock wanting a trade, but also Aaron Davey at the time wanted a trade.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, if this happens, and this was in a place we couldn't afford to lose people.
No.
So I've watched from afar. I don't engage. I don't write things, but I do watch the discourse.
Nice.
We do have an interesting discourse as Demons fans, don't we? It's unique. There's some very learned, intelligent people, but we have a spectrum of from interesting conversations to more highbrow ones.
We do, and we've got our rangies. Also, the one thing I wanted to pick you up on before we actually talk about Gus, because it's the big story today. And I think it'll be a big story throughout the whole season because we've lost such an influential part of the footy club, great leader, great player in his own right. But one thing that really caught my attention, I went back and watched Gus and Gorney last night with yourself on there.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And it was funny when the boys introduced you and I felt like they were excited to have you. They love your work, blah, blah, blah. But then you were like, you're like my heroes. So I don't think they kind of realised how nuff you actually were.
Well, the two things I remember about that day is I knew Max knew who I was because he followed me and then had a very nice moment after the grand final where I just sent the most embarrassing message to him saying, thank you. What this means for my family and for me, and I really appreciate it. And he wrote back, and I'm like, sorry to bother you. And he said, message me anytime. And it was the night, so I knew he knew me.
Yeah.
But I was like, there is no way that private school, Angus Brayshaw, the old boys golfing would be nice to me. I thought that's not traditionally as much as I like watching him play.
Yeah.
And that he was the most lovely, welcoming, genuine dude that I've ever met. And that's I'm sad for the fan base.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy for him that he is now going, because he's a really smart, interesting person with great education and degrees behind him. He's a wonderful media performer. His life is going to be fine, if not better. And I'm just so happy that the right decision's been made. I got to speak to, on my pod, Max Lynch, who played for Collingwood Hawthorn and had to sit in front of that panel last year, and apparently it's quite a harrowing experience when it's a group of doctors and they just go through your report and say you've got to talk through your experience. And from Max Lynch, when he did it was quite teary through the whole process. And as soon as that hit happened last year, I remember thinking that then there's in the new world there's no way he's coming back from this. And I was surprised through January and February that he was training.
Yeah,
because so. Long story short, he's the nicest dude, and I'm happy for him that he gets to start the next chapter, but it's also absolutely tragic.
Yeah, it's devastating. It feels like it was coming in a way, Kados. He doesn't play the pracky last week, and you start to wonder, is he okay? It was ongoing, so the whole thing was we need to manage this week by week, month by month, and by all reports, the person that was treating him is actually a devout Melbourne supporter as well, of course.
Doctor, of course.
Yeah. Makes sense. And said, look, if you continue on and you get another head knock, you could have some serious issues later in life. And I think it's good to see, regardless of the fact that it's devastating and we're all gutted, it's good to see that, as Broden said, the right decision has been made in what could only I could imagine be one of the hardest decisions he's ever going to have to make in his career, because you are taking something away from him that he absolutely loves doing on a weekly basis. And that's difficult.
Yeah, I was completely blindsided by it, to be honest. I think at the start of the preseason, something came out that it was heading in the right direction, or it seemed like he was almost cleared. So I just completely forgot. So when I went on Instagram and saw the big graphic, it just completely blindsided me. But at the same time, I wasn't very surprised. So, I'm shattered for him the way it ended and how he fought through it throughout his whole career. And he's just so important. So to think selfishly from a football point of view, he plugs holes up either end of the ground, and that midfield is scary when it bats as deep as it does, with a Gus being the fourth or fifth string to its bow. What he did on the wing, what he did at half back, and also just you hear the chatter that comes out of the club about his character. They all love him. Like he seems like the real, the energy provider. He gets everyone up and about. So to lose that around the locker room, I hope they find a way to keep him around the traps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was completely blindsided by it.
You talk about him playing that grand final day. I have vivid memories of it. I've watched it a few times, like we all have. But I remember the literal experience of watching it.
Yeah.
He pops out more in that. He was that game.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And when you look back, you start seeing all the other good performances. But that day, in those moments when you're feeling it and you're connected to what's happening more than any other moment, he was that game. There was so many moments where he did something spectacular in that, particularly that third quarter.
So Goody always talks about critical contests. We need to win more critical contests. And watching that third quarter, it was like Bulldogs had all this momentum. They get a handball out to a guy that's free, and he just gets mowed down out of nowhere by Gus Brayshaw. And then there's a ball that goes high, and they're going to mark it 25 metres out, and it gets punched by Gus Brayshaw. And then there's the goal by Gus. And there was just like 7 or 8 like massive moments. Some he didn't even get stats for. Like there was a massive hit on the wing where he puts his arms up, gets absolutely ran through, gets straight back up. That third quarter, you forget about all those moments where he bobbed up and won those big critical contests for us.
He's a psychopath on the footy field. Like he literally was.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about him, and he is. It kills me to say was now. I've only got the number 10. I don't have any other number.
Really?
That's all I've got. I've got number 10. I've got quite a few jumpers, and that's the number. I just roll with Gus. And the reason why I loved him so much is because of the way he played. And then it's gutting and devastating that because of the way he played is why his career has been taken away from him. There's certain players that they only know one way, and Jack Viney's the exact same. And it's like you can't train it out of them. Like no one's going to tell you, okay, maybe you need to rein it in, like, you know, a tiny little bit just to preserve your career. Like it's not going to happen. So it's devastating that it's been taken away from him given the way that he plays the game. But I think in years to come, and I don't think this is an overreach, and I am emotional today, and a lot of people have come up to me at work and they're like checking in on me, and Sydney fan, a Carlton fan, Geelong fan, are you okay? Getting messages on Teams, oh, you all right, mate? Collingwood fans dancing on his grave, of course, but we expect that. They're scum. But for me, I reckon in 10 years, Gus might be one of the fan favourites forever, just simply because of the way he played. The way he played, he led. They mic'd him up in the gather round game last year, if you remember that.
Yep.
I loved hearing that, even though it was putrid and we lost to the Dons, who's another club we hate. Yeah. I love seeing the inside of the man directing traffic, talking to players, encouraging.
Yeah, that's the loss, isn't it, as well?
That's probably the biggest loss of all, is losing great clubman, great communicator, leader on the field. But look, I've probably got more fond memories. I'm not going to get too disheartened by it moving forward because of exactly what Broden said. He's a very smart guy. He's got a huge future in front of him. He's just got engaged, probably settle down, have a few kids soon, go through that whole experience, and one more head knock that could potentially derail his opportunity of going to a park with his little fella or his daughter, like in the future. You just can't take those chances anymore. So maybe in some roundabout way, it's hard to see it at the moment, but maybe in 10, 15 years' time, people will applaud the decision.
Yep.
Because it's hard to see it now, but maybe in time, people will go, well done.
I'm happy with the decision. The bits that rub me the wrong way today are the day it happened last year. The discourse in the media around it was not about him and how he was.
Yeah.
A guy with previous concussion history, and it turned at some point to attacking the head of football, and then they would make the right decision or else. That frustrated me to no end. And here's the other thing that frustrates me is a fortnight ago, I think Laura Kane, the rule changed.
Yeah.
So if that hit last year would now be a suspension. So that is, in my opinion, that is showing that they were in the wrong to have that happen. Last year, that was shown to be that's actually okay to do, and now it's not okay to do. So it looks to me like Brayshaw, if he chooses to go that way, is in line to just sue the shit out of them.
Allegedly, got to be careful with some legal speak here. They knew 2 weeks ago that Gus had to retire.
Yeah.
The decision of the AFL, we'll just read between the lines, to retrospectively now say that it hit the way that Maynard hit Gus. I mean, I could get really fired up and really angry, but it's not worth it. We're not going to give it that energy. We're not going to bring ourselves down to the levels of the Ferrells. But it's just funny the way that it's all played out in the end. Allegedly, if that's true, that's really disappointing because it's essentially an admission of guilt, is it not?
I think they would have even been disappointed with the fact that he had to face an independent board because maybe they would prefer it to be he keeps playing and then it's not quite definitive why he's suffering, you know. The fact that they've made it so, no, what happened last year is the reason that he has to retire. And we gave that the green light is, I think, damning.
Yeah, I agree. But again, we'll see what happens in due course on that one.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Hot stuff. Sizzling hot takes.
I'm just going to read out a few things that the supporters have said. So the community have sent them in, the Demonology people, the Demonland people, the DeeBrief people. Demonland's getting a real pump up tonight. Andy's going to be stoked with that, the guy who runs Demonland.
Oh, yeah.
Which is good. Go, Andy. Good fella. There's a few good ones that have come through. Everyone obviously speaking about third quarter 2021 grand final, of course. But something that got brought to my attention was when Gus finished third in the Brownlow and he got that ripping photo of himself at home.
Yeah, he wasn't invited.
Was it fourth at the Brownlow or third?
No, it was third.
It was third.
In Cotton On.
And he wasn't, and there goes the water.
On the machine.
That's okay. It's all good. It's been a big day. And that photo was hilarious for me because it didn't cop an invite and finished his third in the Brownlow. It's just stupid.
Yeah, that 2018 season was ridiculous by him. He was getting like 35 and a goal every week for us. And that was the year we went through to the prelim. And
those tears on the table?
Yeah, I've just, a lot of Mount Franklin tears. Was he our best player that year?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, because Petrarca was playing forward and Clary had just had one of his first good years. Viney was in and out because he was injured. And Brayshaw was like the man in the midfield.
You're good at cleaning.
I've done this on so many podcasts. But you're clearly a no-cut podcast.
No. Oh, I'm just lazy. I just can't be bothered.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
I just want to get home and we good, D-man. I just want to get home and just do one edit.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't want to have to time code the shit out of it and then send it back across. So
I'm not joking. I have to ring up my producer on the way home. And go, can we cut that bit where I threaten the lives of Collingwood fans quite frequently?
Yeah. Feel free to text me if there's anything that comes up later.
I think we're okay so far.
Yeah.
Sue the shit out of them. I shouldn't have said, but here we are.
Fuck it. It's fine. It's all good.
One game in particular that Gussy had was in 2018 was a game in Alice Springs.
Yes.
Against Adelaide.
Unbelievable.
And he had like 40, kicked like 3. We beat Adelaide, who were in the grand final the year before, by like 90 points. And I was watching it going, geez, we're a team and a half here.
Yeah.
And it was all off the back of him.
As soon as we moved him off the wing, we had wing problems.
Yeah.
And we still do.
Yeah, until Caleb Windsor comes in this year, and then
sorry, Ed.
Yeah. We're set for a decade once Caleb Windsor comes in this year. I know he didn't have a great game against the Tigers, but lock him in.
He looks the player. It was just funny. His first 4 or 5 kicks, he was unlucky.
You were tipping.
Yeah,
you were texting me. People getting irate about a 7-period match simulation.
Yeah,
we really got him in the when
Yeah. We did. We came home like a wet sail
when Clary came on.
Yeah. But the person of that game was old mate. What's his name? Nathan Brown's son.
Kynan.
Oh
Brown.
My goodness.
He's lock round 0.
Kynan was
He's so good.
And he's got that same weird gait.
Yeah.
That Nathan Brown gait.
Yeah. And Doggy could play too. So I'm not surprised that Kynan's a player. I reckon he's firming for round 0.
Yeah.
Round 0?
He has that kind of Dacos energy where he walked out, and in that one game, he didn't look like he didn't even look happy. He didn't look like he was excited to be there. He's like, I'm finally, he was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
He looked so at home.
Just slotting one from the boundary as well.
Yeah, he looked so good.
I'm just looking at all the social answers, and I reckon 95% of them are the third quarter in the granny.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He saved us in moments defensively, and then was massive when we went forward as well, and then kicked that goal to put us back in front, and then we never looked back. Like he was massive.
Jared Waitley called it the gully catch on the SEN call, I think, which is such a good, and then lines it up. Beautiful.
It was the perfect kick as well, and his uncle was commentating.
I need to ask this quickly. Talking about the MCG, you've said this a few times. It's funny.
I'm not afraid. I know what you're going to ask. I'm not afraid. I'm not backing down.
So when it's full, is it 83,000 seats?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to ask, because I think I've said a few times that Melbourne fans can be the worst, which is true in some circles. I know we are. But
No. I've potted them before by not giving enough in the stands. However, last season I pumped them up a little bit more because I thought we brought more heat.
Yeah.
2022, no one gave a fuck. Because it was like we flagged.
It was a weird year. I'm more about like on a whole, like if you get us on a really special 43-ish thousand game, that whole side's full.
Yeah.
We go off and we're smart with the things where the way we cheer is we're clever. But sometimes I think every club has this. There's the ones who you're like, where are you from?
True.
If you come back from London for the weekend and you're like,
it's true.
But at 80, yes, it is. It's the standing, for those MCC members will know that the standing room areas, they equate to about 5,000 or 6,000, I think.
So is it 83,000 in seats and 17,000 in standing areas plus bars?
Yeah, corporates, and then the MCC is full at 22,000, but I think has something like 18,000 or something like that.
Shit.
So it's so interesting, right? From the day I haven't worked there forever. But like back in the day,
greatest claim to fame.
Yeah, but like there'd be days where you're like, wow, this is going to be a huge day, and then you get the report and it'd be like 70 today. You know, I swore this would have been 100.
Yep.
And then 70 show up. They're always within. They know, and it's it's the biggest days that I've ever been to were the Richmond turn up like none other, and obviously the Pies, but. And Tay-Tay had 96 there. Isn't that annoying for her that it wasn't 100?
Yeah.
That's true.
There was room for 4,000 more.
Yeah, I could have gone. The Hello Turf tweet was funny, by the way.
Oh, how they massacred my boy. That's a Godfather quote. Are you aware of that?
No.
The Godfather's a great movie.
No. I haven't really watched The Godfather yet. Have you?
No, I haven't.
No.
Are you joking?
No, I haven't watched it.
Neither of you have seen The Godfather.
Nah,
You're both men in your 20s and respective 30s, and you haven't seen The Godfather.
I'm not a massive movie guy.
No, that's fair. No, it isn't fair, actually. You should have watched...
I'm too busy watching these blokes that do videos about real estate agents and calling them C-bombs.
Yeah. We all have our different YouTube respective channels, Caden.
We do, which is one of my favourites, by the way.
Thank you. I did a sketch. Can we say this? I did a sketch about how all real estate agents are C words, and then I went to try and buy a house, and every time I went to an open house, they were like, "I know you."
They were really nice,
and so I had to get a buyer advocate to go and look at houses for me. Yeah. So
a consultant.
Yeah. So, but no, the MCG is great. And I don't know if it's going to be actually properly ready. It's going to look weird for as you said.
Last year the knitting of the grass didn't blend in for the whole season after Ed Sheeran. And they said it would take a couple of weeks. And I thought like by round 2 or 3, it's just going to look like the MCG, that perfect pattern that we all know and love. But there was a distinct like square for the whole season. And they've done it again after Taylor Swift. So once again, the Hello Turf.
It's money though. She would have brought in so much Kanga.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So I think doing the math, I sat down and did the math. And this first, I'm going to start by saying she was brought out by Crown Resorts, I think.
Yes.
So
Crown presents.
Whatever they put money in, I don't know how much they put in, but probably a few, a few pennies. On just her profit margin, she made something between 100 and 150 million on 3 days, not including merch.
That's fact.
How like
is that fact?
That's just basic profit. I tour for a living, so I have the sheets and the cut downs. And if you budget, most tours are supposed to budget where the artist gets 50% of a ticket sale, and her tickets were.
But you won't have all the same hoo ha and the lights.
Doesn't matter. It's 50%. They would not budget. Like 50% of her tickets, which are $600 at 100,000 tickets. And plus, the set's been built. The crew's there. This is shit they've rolled in from America. They've done 100 shows in America. She made so much money.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But how do you feel about the other wing, the far wing, being empty for Melbourne games on TV?
It's so bad on TV. They should move the cameras for our games.
No, and it's annoying and it's frustrating because the only shot that you really get that is indicative of how many have rocked up is behind the goals punt road, because then it shows you where all the Melbourne members are and the MCC members.
Yes.
Like, that's the best shot.
Yes.
That's the indicator for Dees. It's really, it kills me when you are watching on TV. That's why you should just go to the games. All you peasants get there. Yeah. Because that whole area, that's essentially, well, it's AFL members.
Mm-hmm.
And
which is
but
stupid to begin
But
with.
why would we have AFL members? We're highbrow.
Yeah, exactly.
We're in the
rid of
green
them.
seats.
It is the way they've rolled it out is insane.
Yeah.
I've got in my head that if we have 30,000 at a game, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's more than anyone's ever gone to the NRL ever.
Yeah.
No one's ever gone to 30,000 never gone to an NRL game.
I think we averaged nearly 40 last year.
No, the crowds are good.
Yeah.
It's an absolute fallacy. It's a myth. I think Sam McClure is pushing it, and he's a moron. Because he's wrong. The crowds are actually good. And the other measure of success with crowds that I love, and someone pulls this out on Twitter, it's like their thing to do, just basic mathematics that I can't do. And they do the percentage of members to crowd numbers, which I think is fair, right? Like that's the way that I like to perceive it. And the only reason why I probably like to perceive it that way is because it always falls in our favour.
Yeah.
Right? Because the numbers are a bit smaller.
It's hard to get 110,000 to 100,000 seater.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's just nowhere near as bad as it's painted out to be. I had the most random thought that popped into my head and I had to speak about it. It was 5 minutes ago. When you were talking about Melbourne supporters rocking up to games and how we don't need many, do you remember the Freo game in 08, Wanamiri?
Yeah.
We were down by, what was it, 60 points?
Yeah. That was the number we came back from. I don't remember it exactly. It was absurd.
It was 54 points at halftime or something.
It was something stupid.
Yeah.
So I was there.
Typical Sunday afternoon in the most
brilliant.
Miserable weather.
It was shit house weather. I think there were 20,000 there. And I kid you not, I still talk to the old man about this because it's like, we'll just talk about all the games we've been to over the journey. And like, we'll sit back and we'll have a beer up there in Yarrawonga and Dad will go, he'll just pluck one out of his head. And I plucked this one out of my head like a couple of years ago and I go, Dad, do you remember the 08 Wanamiri? Dad goes, I swear it felt like there were 80,000 there.
Yeah.
The place was fucking rocking.
That was a huge day of optimism in a very dark year. Was it 2008?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the first year I worked there, and it was the same year that we had an influx of really depressing. Maybe it was at the end of 07. We had I remember I was working on the boundary, and Byron Pickett, Wheatley, Paul Wheatley.
Paul was still playing.
Yeah, and
the Zupa King.
Yeah, he was so good.
Remember the Zupa?
The leg on him.
I started Supercoach around that time, and I didn't understand Supercoach, so one of my classmates who was older.
Do you understand it now?
Yeah, I understand it now, but
I don't.
I'm not very good at it.
Yeah,
so I was picking with my heart, and I showed one of my classmates my team, and I had Paul Wheatley in the back pocket, and he's like, mate, he's just not going to rack up Supercoach points for you.
Chase, do you remember Paul Wheatley? No.
Paul Wheatley could have been my favourite player of that period.
I don't think Chase remembers any of that vintage. Do you remember anyone from 07, 08? Brad Green.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
If I had to go on one of them quizzes, the spuds from about 2009 to 14, I could write books on.
I've got a quiz tonight.
Oh, great.
2010.
I shouldn't have said that.
Michael Evans.
Oh,
I've got
a story.
Yeah.
I've got 2010. A bit later.
So 10 is Bailey.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it might be. Oh no, next year's last year Bailey.
2012.
10 is kind of optimistic because
we'd beat teams.
Yeah.
But then we'd get.
Do you know what's weird about 10? 10's not the darkest year from 07 to 13. 10's actually 8.5 wins. That's like a flag back then.
Do you know what 10 is? And it's still on the YouTube channel. Go to the Melbourne Football Club YouTube channel.
Beamers, bumps and
Cameron
balls.
Goff's Whiteboard Wednesdays.
Yes, yes.
Which is the CEO of Melbourne. He
yes.
There's
What?
there's talk that he wasn't a great CEO. And he had a YouTube video that he would put up on our website every week where he would talk you through how to be a CEO. So there was one where he did cash flow. Like he's like how to cash flow a business. And like I remember being like 20 at drama school going, fuck is he doing?
Did they sell this? Was it a
This
commercial
is just
property?
on the YouTube channel for no one. Like I'm like, go sign a player, man. And then like there was a day where he went through list management, and I was like, I remember thinking in my early 20s, I don't think that's your job.
That's
and then he was sacked for being bad at his job.
This is legit.
Go find it.
I will. I'm going to dig it up.
Whiteboard Wednesdays. It's all
So
at
good.
like 360p as well. It's very low res.
Is it the worst thing you've ever seen?
The Cameron Goff era is fascinating, and just like he had his Twitter at the time was like, I'm the CEO of a football club. I love my art and my love, and like he would draw paintings and shit. I was like, I don't think we should be paying this man hundreds of thousands.
Is it Cameron Goff?
Yeah, what did I say?
Or
No, sorry, Cameron Schwab.
Schwabby.
Cameron Goff was the CEO of the Melbourne Cricket Club at the same time.
Yes.
My mistake.
Cameron Schwab.
Cameron Schwab.
I've spoken to him once upon a time
And
at a conference.
He seems nice enough.
Yeah.
Can we do the quiz now, or is it coming later?
Well, can I bring something up?
We can do it whenever you want. We can do it now.
In 2008, huge comeback at halftime. And at halftime, I was telling my dad, because we lived in Geelong, caught multiple trains to Jollymont, and I'd had enough. I said, we're down by 54 points. Chris Tarrant's on fire. I just want to go home.
You went home?
No. So Dad said, we never leave, we stay. And
I've always said that too.
And I said, why would we bother staying? And I saw Warnemere, get a boot to it, son. Brad Green, Russell Robinson popping up. And since then, I've never left a match early. Earlier this year, Broden, the Dees were in a similar situation against Brisbane where they came back.
Did we talk about it?
And won.
Yeah, please. I'm pleased.
I don't want to stitch you up too much,
Please,
but
no.
can
No,
you
you
talk us
owned
through
every bit of it.
Talk us through the infamous
I
leaving.
took the photo. I shared it.
I know.
I wasn't the only one on that fucking train.
I think I was ready to pot you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really know this guy. I've seen him around. I've listened to his pod a little bit.
I thought it was a joke.
I was ready to pot.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. But no,
Talk us through it the whole day.
No.
I'll start by saying that this year is really important for my relationship with Simon Goodwin and him as a coach, because last year I really struggled with our inability to adapt to coaches bringing a strategy for us.
Sure.
Because that usually would mean in that middle part of the year that we would just capitulate, to use an AFL word.
Yeah.
It's my favourite word.
Part one. That's important thing number one. Important thing number two is replacement trains. Replacement buses for trains on the Hurstbridge and Epping lines. I still call it Epping, even though it's South Morang now. There was replacement buses. But I cracked the shits. But also what I started to find this year, which I haven't said, is that I would start to, anytime we lose, I cop it on public transport from the opposing fans who know me.
Yes.
Which has only started
Just
this
say
year.
you're not that guy.
They know me.
Just say you're not.
Yeah, I can just do that, but they don't ask. They go, "Fuck you, Broden."
Yeah,
like it's not like a "Are you Broden?"
It's pronounced Broden.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna avoid this, and it was that way that game went. Was it? We just turned off. We turned off, and they kicked back because we looked incredible.
And we had turned off for like 2.5 quarters. It was from the end of the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. So it looked as dead and buried before 8 minutes to go.
They were smoking us.
Yeah,
like absolutely smoking us.
And then I was on the train and we won, and there was
Malcolm.
Were you watching on the on the phone
on the Great KO app?
Were you going mental?
No, I was sitting there going, well, no, because I had the.
Were you thinking about doubling back? Where were you going? I don't know. Where do you live?
I was going to Reservoir where I lived, and I don't live there anymore.
Okay.
So it's not doxing myself.
Yeah, I was a bit worried there.
I was on the. I'm looking at it, but I was happy, but filled with the misery of the shame. I was filled with the shame, as was everyone else on the carriage. And this little boy looked up to me and was like, "Why did we leave?" And I was like, "I don't know. You'll never leave again, will you?" He said, "But we left."
Was it the worst feeling?
No, I was happy we won, but I was also so that's why I was like, I'm going to take a photo so that I can get something out of this. There's a joy because like if people know who you are in your sporting stuff, then like. The roller coaster is part of it. It's being miserable and the joy of it.
Do you want to know what I did?
Yeah, please.
When he kicked the goal?
Yeah.
So when he kicked the goal, I completely and utterly lost all control.
Yeah, you just
Like inhibitions were
you shit yourself.
were zero.
Is that what you're saying? You shit your pants?
What a taste of later life.
Yeah.
In that moment, it wouldn't have bothered me if I did. To be honest, is that fucked? Like,
No, statistically at the MCG, we find that it's 3%.
No, so I ran down the race. So I stand at M48. A shout out to Michael EJ and all the boys in M48, Richie Roller.
M48.
That's where I stand.
That's the white seats next to the MCC.
I stand at the very back.
Yeah, great.
Very back near the Blazer Bar. Anyway, when he took the mark, I'd like prime myself. I'd already primed myself for a run. I was like, I'm ready to go for a jog. And I fucking just sprinted up and down the aisles like a madman. And I was just hugging every single person that was coming by.
Yeah.
Like everyone. And it was like a little mosh in different sections, people just hugging. I was like, fuck. I had beer poured all over me. It was the most beautiful experience. It was one of the best. It
glad you
reminded
had
me.
it.
Sorry.
No, I genuinely am glad
I'll try and make you feel better if you were at this game. It reminded me of my favourite when Jack Watts kicked the sealer in 17 against Collingwood on Queen's birthday. It was the same type of euphoria. It was incredible.
So
were you there?
I was in San Francisco, 3 a.m. watching it in San Francisco on tour.
When
But everyone in San
We've got
Francisco.
to find a game for you.
Yeah.
Is there another game?
Well, when Malcolm slotted, I was with a Brisbane supporter.
Oh.
Did
you punch him?
Were you vlogging this episode?
Well, so I went to take the camera to the game.
But you forgot the camera.
But he's not a content guy, and it feels a bit weird filming myself when I'm with someone who's not really in the industry. So I decided not to. And there was a couple of minutes to go, so I pulled out the phone, started filming myself for the content. But after I went ballistic, and I'm filming myself and going ballistic, so I'm half like trying to get content, but I'm half going crazy.
You were squealing.
Yeah, he's
you were squealing.
He said a couple of weeks later.
I remember it now.
He goes, he goes, I don't think I'll go to the footy with you again. That was embarrassing, and I thought that is absolutely fair.
No, you've got to. The closest I had last year, was the Collingwood game, because I could find no one to go with. And to be honest, that day
King's
there
birthday?
there was a lot of there was not a lot of Melbourne fans there that day.
It was their home game.
Yeah, but there was a few people who could have gone who went, I might actually not go today. Yeah. Collingwood are looking very, very good.
Yeah.
Premiership good, some might say.
They were 11-1.
And we weren't looking top notch.
You did a video with Swoop and I watched it, and you were very dark.
I was very diplomatic with him.
You did, yeah.
Well, I can say some bad shit about them if I want. But we talk about them too much. But that day I went by myself.
Oh, you went?
And I went there and I sat there quietly and I said, I'm just going to sit here quietly and watch this game. We came out and we looked outstanding. That game we had the blueprint for how to beat any team that day.
Yep.
Grundy looked great for the only time that year where he looked great with Gawn in the side.
Yep.
They just meticulous disposal. It just looked, and we were just nicely working them over that day. And then I think there was a goal towards the end. I can't remember who it was, but I just
Van Rooyen.
Yes, lost my absolute nut.
Remember that in the vlog? Van Rooyen?
Yes.
And just went absolutely off. And
I found this guy in the seats just down from me
that day
filming himself. I just randomly found this guy filming himself. No, we'd met.
We'd met.
I think I put you in a headlock almost.
Yeah, you can.
Apologies.
And
I came in hot.
I had no idea who it was, so I'm going, Van Rooyen's kick the sealer. We're gonna win. And then I just had a guy jump on me, but it was Adrian.
I'm hearing a lot about you running around.
Fuck, I run around.
You might have to tell your colleagues at the MCC to watch.
As long as you've got a collared shirt on, it's all right.
Yeah.
I think we might do the trivia now.
This is revving me up though. I'm so excited to go to the footy.
Yeah.
Oh my god! But we can't go for the first week unless you go to Sydney. But
and then we get the
dogs.
dogs.
I'm not going. Are you going? Sydney?
I'm trying. I'm trying to go.
Me too.
What would trying entail?
Just seeing if I can work.
Drive or fly.
Yeah, just seeing
how Are you going or not?
Just seeing how it sits.
I'm going to go Wednesday night. Icon.
Icon?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to go to that.
The Pracky.
I'm going to go to that.
Of course.
It's worth 4 points, I reckon.
It'll be good. It'll be big. No, you boys.
Let's do the quiz.
So far, you've pumped me up. I've been I've been a mess today. I had my wife check in on me. She's like, I saw the news about Gus. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. I had an old friend that hadn't spoken to me in a long time. You're right.
Yeah, I had
saw the news.
messages from a lot of Melbourne fans today.
Yeah.
A huge amount.
Yeah.
All saying the exact same thing.
So this is good.
Yeah, it's nice.
This is
we
cathartic.
are alive. We're back. There's a heartbeat.
So we're going to do 2010. Derek, I'm going to try and get you to do something really quick that I used to do back in the day. Search on YouTube for continuous Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music.
Yeah, that exists.
Our
Yeah.
hour-long playlist.
Unfortunately, though, the all the equipment's covered in water, so it won't be. Nothing's been recording.
If you find it, it'll just be the nice little, the little,
Which is not on air anymore. You should be doing what's the new one? The Todd Woodbridge one is
What's Todd Woodbridge doing?
No, it's,
he's got a game show.
It's
No thanks.
Breaking Point or Tipping Point.
Oh, it's because
There's
he's a tennis guy.
There's little things.
So they put point in because he's a tennis guy.
I guess so, maybe. I think
Did
it's just
they?
the charismatic 9 personality. So they've. Have you seen Tipping Point?
I have not watched it, but I've seen the commercials.
He's not going to watch it.
Yeah, fair enough.
He's not going to watch Godfather either.
I really think you should watch Godfather.
We should watch it together.
I'll watch it.
We should blog it.
It's like a 50-year-old film now, and you'll not find a more beautifully paced story.
If we vlogged it and put it up, do you reckon it'd get hits?
I think the algorithm would say this isn't football, and
Yes, it's true.
put me in my little box.
Oh, don't get us started on the algo.
Yeah.
Have we found it? Yeah, we've got it.
Here we go.
Play in the room. This is great.
So I used to do this on a former podcast I used to run, Daily Football Show, which was a soccer podcast. Great
Different.
show. I miss it.
I just want to talk about that. Is the fact that there's different size stadiums in EPL. I really like. Is you can go to Tottenham
best.
Stadium, 60,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then the next week you're at Luton.
Yeah.
And it's like a
12.
50. And
It's like Bournemouth.
the
Bournemouth's
energy's
only about
great.
12, 14.
Yeah, GWS should have a tiny stadium, you know?
Yeah, it's
I
amazing.
like how they don't share. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if we had the G.
Oh.
We could have, but the thing is, we could have kept it. We could have gone Windy Hill. We could have
Yeah.
gone Waverley,
Victoria
or
Park,
Glenferrie Oval for
Icon.
Hawthorn.
Yeah.
We could have redeveloped them all, but we got the concrete jungle.
Yeah. Go on a Caulfield racecourse.
Yeah, let's not talk about it. Hey, I don't mind it. All right, 2010.
In a race course.
Somewhere to put your bag at least.
2010.
Is this a season or?
So I've got 5 single point questions from 2010. As we mentioned, not the darkest year. So for some context,
9 years since 9/11. So we're still in that kind of anti-terrorism. It's important to know.
It's true. So we finished 12th, which was good for those years.
Yeah. No,
and we
12,
had
yeah.
and we had 8.5 wins. 8.5.
I see a very muscular James Frawley in my head when I think of 2010.
All Australian.
And that might be the Paul Roos year when we played Sydney at the MCG and Frawley chased Jeddah down the wing. And that was the moment that Roos was like, there's a team here.
Yeah, no, it was a decent year.
I'm gonna get really competitive with this. Like, I'm gonna really
You're
jump
gonna
in.
win.
Like, I'm
You're
gonna be
gonna
like
win.
Jack Viney and like really just attack
good.
each question.
Good, you fucking better.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, question number 1.
Do we buzz in?
Yeah, you got to buzz in.
I'm sorry I brought 9/11.
I'll cut that out.
No, you won't.
I'm a conspiracy.
Yeah, okay, right. That's great.
Doesn't cut anything.
I believe in the other thing.
Yeah. That Gillan McLaughlin was a sleeper cell.
No, have you seen the Michael Moore documentary on 9/11?
Yeah, it's Fahrenheit.
Um,
That says it happened though.
Yeah, but it's a bit murky.
9/11.
No,
It's still a bit murky.
yeah, yes.
9/11 and Taylor Swift. I had no idea we were going to be talking about that today.
Hey, it's pop
Chase
culture.
is looking at us going, what the fuck is that? When were you born?
This is what happens when I come on. I'm
So
sorry.
he was
Dees.
born 2004. Chase was born 2004.
Yeah, see, that's what's happening now. Is that
Yeah.
2004? I disagree with
Should
that.
we give the context? So Chase is in here.
There's a boy here.
He helps. Yeah. He helps manage the socials for the DeeBrief, and he does a wonderful job. So all those fancy graphics you see at Chase, they're not me.
2004, we had one of the best Clash kits. It was the red with like that sort of matchbox flame across the blue flame. So it was like full red kit,
because the
blue flame at the bottom third.
Yeah, but that came in like 2004 originally, didn't it? The Danaher years.
Yeah, 2004.
Yeah,
loved it.
Are we going to do it?
Okay,
Okay,
2010.
you ready to buzz in whenever
Can
you
I
want?
ask about your socials first? Why did you go with red and blue for your stuff? Was there a thought behind the branding? Or?
I think Chase is perplexed.
Oh, fair enough.
That's nice.
Favorite
Who's
colours?
your favourite player? Clary.
He is a jet.
Yeah. Gingers.
Yeah, he's so good.
Okay, first question. You ready?
Yes.
He just did you say that? He just did this.
He's going to win.
How
How do I buzz in, by the way? Say Broden?
Broden. Yeah.
All right.
And he says Caden.
Yeah.
Kados or Caden?
No, I want you to both end in n.
Everyone listening just wants
No,
to...
you both end in n.
Yeah.
Which is
That's
funny.
confusing. Maybe I should say Brodos. Sorry, the music's vamping. All right, let's go.
Say Brodos. First question for 1 point.
Come on, MacDonald.
Who won our best and fairest that season?
Broden. I'm going to say... Do you know this?
I don't know this.
In 2010, I'm going
Actually, I do know this.
You do know?
Yeah, I reckon.
Oh, you got to get it then.
He's buzzed in to give himself time to think.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I have the answer in my head, and I have for
I'm
a
going
while.
to count him down in 5.
And that answer has always
4.
been Aaron Davey.
Caden.
Incorrect.
Brent Maloney.
Incorrect.
Can I go back?
No, that's
James
it.
MacDonald.
No, we're ruthless here. That's it.
Who was it?
Chase. It is.
Brad Green.
And he was 6 years old at the time.
Board member Brad Green.
He remembers. Chase
Wow.
was 6. You got beaten by a 6-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
and he
huge.
wasn't captain that year. He went on to be captain.
I think he was captain that year. I think he was. Anyway, it doesn't matter because that's not a question.
Fair. No, thank you for that.
Derek.
Wow, that's good.
Question 2. Brutalised in round 1.
Us.
Brutalised. It's hard to even read this one out properly. Brutalised in round 1 versus the Hawks. There's a lot of conjecture about the Dees and the coach, and everyone wants him sacked. We're a week into the season. In round 2, we came up against Collingwood. We ended up losing by 1 point.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
There was a player that dropped a mark.
Caden.
I think Caden got it.
I've got like 4 Guernseys with his number.
No!
He was my all-time favourite
Really?
player before he went to the Tigers. It was Ricky Pettard.
Yeah, well done.
Loved Ricky Pettard.
I can't believe he dropped that ball.
Mm.
And James, what's his name? Rowan Bale. kicked
Rowan
it to him.
Bale. And he should have had the shot. Because at least we would have drawn.
Yeah, but I watched the footage back last night. I had a great night. I actually watched the Wizard Home Loans Cup from 2005 with Carlton in it as well.
I remember that.
Against
I was
West
at that.
Coast.
I went to that. Yeah.
We'll speak about that later. The annoying thing is Matthew Bate has a free player in the goal square on his own, and he goes to the contest.
But that Pettard mark was not hard. It wasn't like, oh, imagine if he was
Yeah.
free. He had that
He was
mark.
just rooted.
I blame Matthew Bate.
I think Ricky Pettard kicked 3 or 4 that
He
day
kicked
as
4
well.
goals and got a Brownlow vote.
Yeah.
He took... It might have been that season. He took one of the greatest marks I've ever seen over the Bulldogs. It's one of the best AFL hangers I've ever seen. It was at Marvel on a
loved it.
Friday night.
On the siren that game as well, one of the great hissies. Like starts
Yeah,
smacking
smashing the
two-handed
gra-
there and
yeah.
smashing the grass.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Caden on the board.
That's rough.
The biggest loss that Paul Roos ever suffered as
Broden.
Sydney coach. I can't read out the rest. You're in now.
Was against Melbourne. And
Almost going to give you a point.
was against Melbourne. I have a sentimental memory about this day, but I'm going to guess Frawley.
You've gotten a point because I'll explain it soon. But Caden can pick up 2 points.
With the rest of the question, obviously.
Yeah, you did well. So we spanked them by 73 points at the G. Fuck, it was a great day.
Liam Jarrah was elite.
Yeah. The 3 players that got Brownlow votes that day. One of them was James Frawley. Who were the other 2?
Nathan Jones
Nah, you get one more guess though.
to get a point.
Think about that vintage.
2010.
Yeah. Broden's on the board.
I'm going to go Brent Maloney again.
Fuck, he's let you down, Beamer.
Say Brad Green would have been on there.
Cole
Yep.
Cole Sylvia.
and Aaron Davey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Aaron Davey in that period, he would actually be my second favourite Melbourne Football Club player ever.
Yep.
Particularly when he just became just a midfielder out of pure necessity.
Favourite?
gone. I think he's the
Lucas
best.
Cook?
Lucas Cook is up there. Lucas Cook. Oh my God, I'm still upset about Lucas Cook. Still.
He never played a game.
I know.
Pick
And
12.
Jack Darling was on the
There was a
board.
guy called Luke Molan who was pick 5
Luke
back in the
Molan.
day. Never played a game.
Ezra Poyas. Do you know they go that far back?
Never heard.
Yeah. He was.
Never
I
heard.
used to love him for Sandringham.
Yeah.
Him and
Not for the D's, just for
Yeah,
Sandringham.
because every time the D's 2s would be on TV, Ezra Poyas and Saltner, Big Nick Saltner.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd be like, boy, Ezra's sort of like Uze and Saltner's almost like Neats. And then it was littered with Melbourne players, but they were like the spearhead and the crummer.
Lyndon Dunn's around at this period as well.
Yeah.
In Sandringham.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We'll kick on.
he's going to be in
The
it.
next question just rattled me because I went down a rabbit hole last night. Massive rabbit hole. I'm actually going to get the
You keep
article
talking
as
about
well.
last night. I'm quite
This
concerned
is
with
hard
what
for me,
what you've gotten up to.
Because of our 2 back-to-back rebuilds,
Rabbit
I'm
holes and-
stronger with the second rebuild,
Yeah.
but I'm okay with this rebuild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
This is okay. I'm okay with
There's
this one.
3
as well.
rebuilds, by the way.
I know. It's ridiculous. The next question. There were 2 major sponsors.
Broden, Kaspersky.
Great get. Yeah.
And there's the energy one that guy got cancelled. What was it? One Energy Australia or something like that.
He's out.
Jack
Yeah,
Watts.
Caden Hancock.
He's in. I'm giving you a point each.
That's great, Kaspersky. But how good was Kaspersky?
Wasn't that like Japanese malware?
Chinese, yeah.
Do you want me to read out what actually happened?
Yes, please.
So this is Schwabby's involved in this.
This, and we put the bushfire relief during pre-season as our sponsor because we didn't have one. Is that right?
Yeah, so Schwabby's involved in this. So this is how it all came about. So this is how we got the sponsorship with Kaspersky.
Who are still a huge internet safety brand.
So after a chance meeting between lifelong Demon supporter Andrew Matonis, I probably got it wrong,
Yep.
and Chung, who is the managing director of Asia Pacific Russian IT security company Kaspersky. So just a chance meeting. So this bloke just linked it up and said, "Oi, Schwabby, you should talk to this guy." Chung was impressed by the passion for the club in a far-off land and just happened to be looking at expanding the Kaspersky brand to Australia. There's a
really
bit
good
that'll
place.
throw you. Hardly believing their luck, the Demons soon announced a 3-year jumper deal worth $2.4 million.
Yeah.
Now basking in the glory of the Kaspersky Cup, which was an exhibition between us and Brisbane, they decided to throw in an extra $300K just to host it.
Yeah, just insane. And then years later, sorry, go on. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. This will absolutely rattle you. Chung was even treated to a rousing rendition of its a grand old flag on the boat. So they're on this boat after the exhibition game. Schwab spoke of the importance of the trip in bringing the club together. But instead of disembarking with a handshake deal, the businessman walked away with a sinking feeling. Melbourne wanted more. Listen to how greedy Melbourne get. Over the coming weeks, Chung was told the Demons were on track to become a powerhouse of the competition, to rival the likes of Collingwood and Essendon.
Yeah.
So, the price for a space on the jumper had risen from $800K to as much as $1.5 million. Chung was affronted, and a year later, after months of wrangling, Kaspersky walked away. So Melbourne went, thank fuck, we finally got a sponsor. Like, the club can stay alive. And then they got greedy and tried to ask this bloke for more money.
We were an absolute rabble.
How
we
is
were
that?
So bad. Like, people are like, "Oh, you've got culture problems." Like, mate, you have no idea. You have no idea the shit I've seen happen at this club.
Oh man!
But then I remember years later, Kaspersky ended up on the polo of Nathan Buckley at Collingwood, and go, "Oh, okay, it's like that, Kaspersky. All right, Kaspersky.
Yeah.
Now you're my enemy, Kaspersky."
But that was the real powerhouse. So the funniest thing about that whole article for me, when I was reading it was the last thing I read before bed, and I was almost sitting in bed, like looking up the ceiling, chuckling to myself, because Melbourne had painted this picture of we're going to become this great behemoth and powerhouse
Melbourne,
again.
yeah.
We're Melbourne. It's hilarious.
The sponsors from about this period to 16, 17, some of the weirdest brands and organisations, like energywatch.com.au, Opal, a car company that came for a week and then turned around and never came back.
It's mental. It's mental. Boys, it's 2-2, and we're down to our fifth question.
Right.
And then
Is this-
after the fifth question, there's a who am I.
Oh, smash that.
The next one is actually nearest to the pin. So someone's going to be leading before the who am I.
Okay.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter when you buzz in, I guess. How many members did the Dees have that season?
Broden, 2010. It's the Jim Steins era, so we were trying to crack 30. So we, in 2010, got 30,480.
I'm going to say 40,000 on the dot.
Brodos got it. You were too high. We had 33,350.
Wow.
It was the first year I became a member of the 09. I had no money. And the way that I loved Jim so much, and the way he revved us up,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to find $90 or something. And I went to the Demon store and bought a membership.
Fucking love Jim Steins.
Yeah.
Big Jim.
Big Jim.
What a great man. Brodos, taking the lead.
Gatos, this is embarrassing, man.
I've really got to get this.
Come from behind.
Yeah.
Okay. It's time.
Come on.
Yeah, you boys have got to go to the season launch.
Yeah.
Jeez, that'll be a party tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a vibe, isn't it? Hey, everyone.
Good luck.
I'm excited to see the turf, really. That's why I'm going.
True. Just hark back to greater days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Who am I? So this is the way it works. So you can get 5 points if you answer the first question, but it's obviously from most difficult to least
So
difficult.
you've got to go quick.
Yeah,
Well,
I got to go early.
No, well, I mean, you only need 2 points to win, so you could wait until the 2-pointer, which
Yeah.
is the fourth question if you want to.
But if he jumps in
I
on the
could just-
3,
But
I
he
could
could
just
jump in. He could
wallop
just
you.
jump in. Suddenly he's creamed you. But we'll go for the 5-point question, the Zupa, the Paul Wheatley special. Recruited with... sorry, I'll start again. I was recruited with pick 64 in the 2008 National Draft. We'll just leave it there. You don't have to buzz
I'm
in.
going to buzz in. Broden.
oh, this
You
is
can-
going
you
to
could
be...
ruin it.
This is going to
He
be...
can win.
Strauss.
No.
I know who it is now.
You're gone.
I know who it
He's
is.
gone. You just have to hang in now. You don't have to buzz in.
Yeah, but I still need 2.
Yeah, so wait till 2. All right, for 4 points.
I forgot the first clue, though, which is really
Don't repeat
frustrating.
it.
It's really
I'm not going to repeat
frustrating.
it. If you couldn't lose.
Sam Blease.
Why did...
So he's done that now. He was picked
I had an intrusive
he's
thought.
picked 18 or
I had an
something.
intrusive thought.
I think you guys... I
He
think
was the same year as Jack Watts as well, though. So he's...
Was it
Well, that
2008?
is yeah, you are right.
So I'm in the ballpark.
technically you lose, but I reckon you can come back in.
We
Do you want to come back in?
It says, what year was it again, the draft year?
2008.
2008. I think you've got to both come back in and
we
agree.
go again.
Shake hands and agree.
Shake hands, all right.
I
Okay, cool.
just had this-
2008.
Because
Hang on,
you
so
could have
hang on,
taken the win.
2008.
You could have taken the win then.
2008 is...
Okay, I'm going to go fourth.
I had a big surge of
next
energy
question,
there.
Next question.
Sorry, guys.
4 points.
We go again.
2008.
I made my debut
Contest
in
defense.
round 19, 2009 against North Melbourne. See, it's a hard question because we're not at the easy ones yet.
2009.
I can go to question 3.
2009, you debuted in round 18 against North Melbourne.
Why would you know?
Oh, I'm
All
on
right,
it.
3 points. Statistically, this absolutely floored me.
Mm.
Floored me when I was putting this together. Statistically, I lead the most amount of games ever in the number 44 jumper.
Kados.
For Melbourne.
Thought it was him.
Oh, he's
I know it.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Rowan Bale.
Yeah. Were you doing that? Did you know everything?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh,
I
God.
was thinking too showbiz. I thought you might, because I know Gorney was a high draft pick around then. Might have been 09 though, or he was
Yeah.
the same year as, or he might have been 09. Yeah, with
09.
with Scully
T-Mac.
and Trengrove.
Yeah.
And
With T-Mac?
Tapscott.
No, he was... Oh, Tappy.
Yeah.
You brought him up on the pod with Gussy.
I can't stop thinking about Luke Tapscott, to be honest. How big was he?
He was
He,
huge.
he smashed. Is it
He was huge.
James Blake or is that a singer?
That's a singer, but
Something Blake from St Kilda. He ran through him, and there's like, if you look up Luke Tapscott highlights, it's like one
Is
of the,
that's his big one?
Yeah, he just absolutely sends him for
I
six.
still think my favourite highlight ever when it comes to biffs and bumps is Viney's on Mav Weller. You're like,
Yeah, and
Classic.
he's like 18.
the top Yeah, that's a good one. And then Matty Whelan on James Heard.
Oh yeah, of course.
Did he win?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
He won. How many points you get then?
I think it was a little 3-pointer.
He wins. Let him have it.
5-3. 5-3.
All right.
5-3 to
Congratulations.
I'll just run you through the last two questions.
Oh, is there more?
I'm just going to explain what they were.
Oh, okay.
Because people might be interested.
Roll bail.
So, for 2 points, my dad used to get irate about this bloke. His last name rhymes with fail.
See, you were just giving it to us at that point.
And then 1 point, honestly couldn't fit another one in because I couldn't find out any other interesting facts about it.
So he's
I'm being
played
serious.
the most games in 44. Who do you think would be second?
Don't know.
44.
44. Couldn't tell you.
Who? What? No, I don't know.
But Guy Rigoni has played the most in 43, which I saw. I could get them all up.
So Peter Walsh is the most in 46.
It's actually quite
I thought
fascinating.
it was Troy Broadbridge.
20?
23, 20. He was
20. They retired.
He was 20.
They did retire the Guernsey for.
Do you want me to quickly? I'm going to quickly run through a few, and then we're going to wrap up because you boys have got a big night tonight at the funeral.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's going to be
some party pies.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, what's it like? Is it?
I don't know.
Is it like we sit there, or is it?
I
like
think it's going to be speeches that will eventually go up on the Melbourne FC website.
Or is there a live stream?
There might. Oh, did you ever see?
I don't
I've
think
sat
so.
through some BNF live streams, and I've really. This football club has made me. There's been some dark points that I think people listening to this have probably had too. The period in the year that we recruited, when the Ruse came on board, I sat in my girlfriend's apartment's bed. She would go to work, and I had no job because I was an out of work comedian actor, and just listen to Kevin Bartlett on SEN. Praying and hoping that he would announce that we were going to do a press conference with Paul Ruse. Like for weeks, I would just sit there with no job or money. Just one of the many fun Demon fan base stories.
I
You
like
at school at that time.
Yeah, it was. And when that broke,
In
it
Geelong.
was enormous.
Imagine growing up in Geelong as a Melbourne supporter and through that era of Geelong success.
Yeah, we were.
You poor bastard.
I went to the.
He went to the game.
You've got
Went to the
genuine
game.
scars.
Yeah,
I was at the game.
You were both at that game.
Yeah, I was there.
I stayed.
Didn't
for-
talk
I,
for
st- I stayed for
48
quarters.
hours to anyone.
Well, that's special.
I stayed the whole game.
I stayed the whole game.
That's
and
great.
I got a slab and played FIFA that night.
I had a little
Drank the whole
Nokia.
thing.
I had a little
That's all I
Nokia
did.
flip top, and I took a photo of the scoreboard, and I said, I'm going to remember this when we win a flag. And I can't find the photo, but
That's the problem with Nokias, wasn't it? You can't. There was no. They hadn't got the cloud system.
I had some main character energy. I just like
You
coming of age
needed it.
film.
We needed the narratives back then. I was in New York City, and I started to get text messages from people going, "I'm so sorry," because I couldn't. I couldn't even. The Watch AFL app didn't exist.
Yeah.
True.
And the game was still going. And I was sitting on Demonland just looking at the fallout as the game was still going. Like it affected me on the other side of the earth.
It still affects me. The Phoebe brothers have played the most in their respective numbers.
Which
is cool.
They had a good run, both of them. Who was the better, Stephen or Matthew?
Definitely Stephen for me.
I couldn't tell you.
But I'm clutching at straws because I was probably 6, like Chase was at the time. in 2010.
Who's the best brothers we've ever had? McDonald's?
Max and Jack. Mine.
Not Oscar and Tom.
No, Mackenzie and Oliver.
Mackenzie. Yeah, it would be the Phoebe brothers, wouldn't it?
It'd probably be the Phoebe brothers. McDonald's?
Oscar-
Anthony and Junior.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not Tom and...
Yeah.
Tom and Oscar.
Oh, fuck, don't talk about Oscar.
McDonald.
I was in a good mood.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Had a rough period.
He's at Freo.
He is.
I just had one question because what we're going to do in the coming weeks is we're going to delve into a proper practice match next week, and then we'll get into the thick of it.
When did you start back? Did you go through the off season?
What, with the pods?
Yeah.
No, this is like the first one back.
Wow, good to be back.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. And if people wanted it to be about what's happening, where are we going to finish, we've got plenty of opportunity. We've got an actual practice match against Carlton down Nikon. I'll be there. And then that's when it starts to get real. So then I think we'll do our season predictions, breakout players, all that fun stuff. But because you're here, how are you feeling about it? Bit doom and gloom, glass half empty, glass half full?
Let me tell you something.
How are you feeling?
About a month ago, before all the shit happened, to be honest, I was like...
Oh, shit has happened, has it?
Apparently, I don't know. I don't listen to or talk or open my eyes or ears. I was feeling low, and then I had a coffee with this guy,
No shit.
Caden, and he for about 20 minutes, unbroken, set me straight.
What was your order? What is the order? You
I got a little toasty and I got a...
he loves his toasty, yeah.
I got a nice long black.
He's like, we went to this place and they were like, the usual.
Yeah.
He's that.
I got the usual.
He just set me straight. I walked out going, we're going to win our flag this year.
Yeah.
And
we are.
Don't do that weird, I don't believe it eyes.
I don't know if I do believe it yet because...
Do it to him.
I don't know.
Do the thing.
Put the spell on me.
To be honest, a lot's changed in the last couple of weeks where...
Oh,
no, Caden! What he said to me is...
I can give the spiel, but basically, just because you drop a semi-final by 2 points and a qualifying final by 7 points doesn't mean you're miles away. We need one more goal a game and we make a prelim and we're as good a shout as anyone else.
And the thing he added to that with me is that the goal is to get into the top 4 because when you're in the top 4, there are many variables that decide the rest of it. Momentum, injuries, fixture, where you're playing. So many things. If you just got to keep getting back there. And if you get back there enough, you're going to have a proper chance. Geelong in 2022. Yep. And other ones that you said to me.
Well, the Pies made prelims consistently, made grand finals, and then saluted 5 years later. The Swans did the same. Like they sort of made prelims and finals, and then 5 years later they did it. We made a grand final and pinched one, and I'm waiting for that second win 5 years later. We're not as far away as what
we're not that far.
The whole media is saying.
Far.
And there is a I don't think recency bias is the word, but people are bored with us.
Yeah.
And it's more exciting to say Carlton are coming or GWS or whoever, or Collingwood again, back to back. It's more fun to say that.
Yeah.
It's boring. We're Geelong now. We're boring to talk about.
Couldn't agree more.
We're Geelong. And you've said, our core, you've got some older players. Max, who I think is actually going to have a gun year.
Just got to protect him somehow.
Yep.
That's all. I think with Max, I don't want him playing the full 23 rounds. I think he's got to have a couple of games out.
I think that
got to preserve him.
Which leads me to my next thing. I've heard around the traps is that the person who was coaching on the day, who is not Simon Goodwin and is no longer at our team, was quite set in a lot of certain things.
Yes. Kick to the pocket.
Yeah. And
really?
I'm just excited.
Maybe.
I'm just excited for McWalter and to see what he's going to bring.
I'm going to get excited. The one thing that we didn't execute very well in that really weird match simulation, but you could see what they were trying to do, the forward handball. The waves. I was like, well, fuck, this is new.
And this is goes. That's why we drafted 450 tiny forwards because the other thing I saw is Cozzy in the third quarter or fourth quarter, 6 straight clearances or something absurd.
He is ridiculous in the midfield. The other thing that we were doing a lot of is when we have Jake Bowie and Rivers and McVee come into the team, they get taught to defend, but they got drafted for their offense and how well they can use the ball off the half-back line.
Yep.
And listening to a little bit of the chatter with Jake Bowie, it sounds like now that it's your third or fourth year and we know you can lock down small forwards, let's get you using your assets, which is your foot skills. So I loved that we kept getting it to Bowie, Rivers and McVee in that pracky match, and that run off the half-back line looked so exciting.
Here's the other thing. We conceded 10 straight goals, which coincided exactly at the same time with the fact that Lever went off for an entire quarter.
Match sim.
We're very bored. It's very boring to say that May and Lever are still potentially more important than Gawn, Petrarca, Oliver.
Yeah.
When you actually look at it and take away the SEN or the whatever about it, you go, hang on, we're guns. It's the same shit though. If McWalter figures out a way to take the football and put it in the hands of forward players who then kick the goal instead of missing it, then the game is over. We talked about it. I think we talked about it at that cafe. Is Collingwood won the grand final by half a point?
They won the final series by 12.
12 points accumulative.
7.
I think
1 and 4.
Geelong won by 3,000 points against Sydney. We beat Bulldogs by 4 million points. They're real wins.
It's true. It's true. No, we can do it. I think my final point, May and Lever, yes, absolutely. They need to be fit all season and playing well. But I reckon where we actually end up winning the flag is through players like this. It's growth from Rivers, Sparrow's the McVee, because I think he's mature beyond his years. Bowie, who you mentioned, and Cozzy. I think it's those guys. I think those guys go to a whole new level. I think Oliver, Petrarca, Gawn, all the Jets who have been doing it for a long, long time, I think they just maintain their standard. Yeah. I think the only way we're going to win the flag is by these guys who are like, kind of B minuses, B pluses. They're the ones that take the next step. That's how we win the flag.
You're 100% right. That second tier.
That's how you win.
Sparrow, from that, I'm going off one classic 48 quarter game. They're backing in Sparrow to be the fourth in, I think.
Yeah, he's ready to go. He's a ready-made, big-bodied mid.
It's my missus' hall pass.
He's a good-looking rooster.
She what I loved from the Pracky match that I am taking nothing from, but
it sounds like you're taking
a lot from it.
You were talking about the waves, minimal quality.
The connection with Jacob Van Rooyen, they were hitting him on the tit a couple of times. Jack
he just
Viney
didn't convert.
He didn't convert, but it was
It's Casey though. Let's remember it's in Casey.
Are we getting too hung up?
It was
on
a kick from the wing and then a
sim?
mark inside 50. I saw about 3 or 4 of them, which really wet the whistle.
Yeah.
Wet the whistle. We're going to leave on wet the whistle. And
no, we got more. I got more. I got to say, the injury list is not that bad.
And we're going to give you.
Is that a long sleeve? I didn't realise. That's great.
It's a long sleeve Clary, the iconic salute in the grand final, of course.
That's the bang bang bang.
So we'll present. I'm from New Zealand suddenly.
Kia ora.
We'll present it Clint Bartram style.
Thank you, mate. Cheers. Is that brought by Kaspersky? And it's an AS Basic. That's good.
Do you remember Clint in the rooms when he presented that jumper?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they did a little piece on him.
I think I spoke to the I think on my Gus and Gorney. I spoke.
Did. And they did a little piece on him, and I didn't realise he retired when he was 24.
I was just about to say he retired early because he had
it rattled me.
Had a knee issue, and then he had to replace something in his knee with like another part of his body, and the surgery would have taken like 18 months or something.
He was really good, but unfortunately he was at the back end of he would have been perfect in a late era Neil Danaher, David Neitz full forward kind of situation, but just bore the brunt of a very underdeveloped list. Go the Dees. I feel very good. And you know what? I keep saying it to myself, we have the one. So just go and enjoy the football with your friends and family and have a nice time, because as we sit here in February, I'm so keen to just go because it's such a nice thing to do with your life.
And not leave early.
Yeah. Well, see, it depends, if we're... I would promise you I'll never leave early again. I can't ever leave early.
Oh, it's out there.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube. It's there.
Yeah,
it's an imprint.
The front bar calls straight up. We got to get him on, make fun of him.
Nah, it's brilliant. It's good PR. Kados, thanks for your time. Are you looking forward to tonight?
Yeah, it's gonna I've obviously never been. I went to the BNF at the end of last year, but I've never been to an event like this.
I think this will be less serious.
But I don't think this is like dinner. I think this is like church. Like you go and you sit in rows and you just watch. I don't know if it's like sit down and meal.
I think it's. I don't know.
I think you just watch.
There should be some drinks. There better be drinks.
It'll be somber.
It will be.
Sorry there were no beers.
Do you know the most awkward bit, and I've had this a few times, is when you go to these events and they tell the poor 22-year-old football players that you got to go and be nice to the members, and they're like, "How you going?" And you're like, "We don't have to talk, man. We got nothing in common."
I'm going to be talking.
You're going to talk to them?
I'm going to.
Yeah, for that experience, you're going to have a great time.
I'm going to bail them up.
That's his content.
Yeah, but they've gotten. These are people who've been told when they were 10 to just not develop any personality and just run.
He hung out with...
Run kick.
You were hanging out with Colton Tholstrup the other day.
Yes. Now he seems like he has a personality.
He does have a personality.
Yeah?
He's a lord. Tell him I'm going to embarrass you. No, I'm going to embarrass you. Like these young kids that get drafted to Melbourne, like Kados will...
Yes.
Oh, they know Kados?
No, dude. Kados will be like, fucking pumped that this kid's come into our club, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll see it and hit him up in his DMs and go, oh my God, I can't believe you shouted me out. Thank you so much.
Have you seen this guy at the Carlton
They love him.
draft things when he goes to these country fields and the children attack him like
Crazy.
he's Tay-Tay?
That's crazy.
He's an icon. I'm worried. I'm going to bring him there and they're going to be like, Kados is here.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
It's good.
Colton. He's an absolute gun.
Did you see that? See what he did?
Nice little deflection.
But Caleb Windsor's my guy. I don't know the boy, but he
Yeah.
seems like he's.
I got Kynan.
Yeah, well,
That's a good
Because
one.
I love Doggy Brown. And we had Doggy Brown in the studio together not so long ago. He was fucking awesome.
We've just touched on something that's worth mentioning. Is Simon Goodwin loves a debutante.
Yes.
That you can. It's something about that wild card energy that in the 2021 was Bowie. There was a few in that year that were the.
But you know, in 2022, we did none of that. So I reckon he learnt that
We were stale.
after not rotating the list in 22 to do it in 23, because it was great when Taj came through and Laurie came through last year. Like, they all got a bit of a run.
We actually got our energy last year, embarrassingly, from people like Harms and Melksham, which is the opposite of what you really want.
Melk was very good.
He was.
Harmsy, just too many dusty fend-offs. It was time.
Yeah.
I think he'd be
Too
great
many.
for the doggies this
Yeah,
year.
job,
I
mate.
think he'd be
We
great.
wish him well. Childhood demon. Great kick to Fritter in the granny.
Oh,
The best kick.
Thanks, Harmsy. Boys, it's been amazing. I honestly, I'm going to say it again, absolutely gutted when the news came through this morning. It was tough there for a few hours. I was like, is this the first day that I cry in my workplace in front of my fellow colleagues about football? But I didn't,
Yeah.
which is nice. So
Yeah.
we'll save that for another day.
There are plenty of times to cry.
Yeah. And then, came here and obviously very excited to get you in, Broden, and chat about the Dees. And I've gone from feeling quite glum and a bit lost to reinvigorated and alive.
Well, blame him
So
for
thank
that. He's the one who he brings the positivity. But no, I'm rapt to be here. It's nice to, even though we have nothing, we don't know each other, and the people listening have nothing in common potentially. The fact that I have it all the time where all of a sudden you meet this. I met, on Brunswick Street in Fitzroy.
Yeah.
Mario's, that institution.
Yep.
There's and I met the owner of that. I think his name's Mario, and he's a Dees fan. I sat next to him in a game, and we could just talk like best mates.
Amazing.
And that is really cool. I love that. So if you're listening, go Dees. I don't know.
Let's give it a quick plug. So we're not going to plug Aunty Donna because it's 570k on YouTube. It's a behemoth.
Oh, you just checked recently.
Yeah, it's a behemoth. So we're not going to plug it because it's
Fair
got
enough.
a big enough audience as it is. We're going to plug the Footy with Brodenkelly.
My footy podcast.
Your Footy podcast is fantastic.
You guys got to come on.
I'm not a super I'm not a devout habitual listener.
Yeah.
But I'll the odd one. Oh yeah, and I see it on my Twitter feed. Oh yeah, we'll go give that a listen.
That's
Yep,
nice.
great.
Thank you.
So I do. I'm an irregular listener.
Yeah.
But I like it, and I think it's great. So
Yeah, thank you. Have a listen to it. It's available for listening. But listen to this first, and then if you need, I've gone off a few times on the D's, in a very fun way on that. So and we do have a lot of D's with us listening.
Yes, no, it's good. And Kados, you've got a parody song coming out soon.
Yeah, I do. I've got a parody song coming next week if I can film it. Colton might have a little cameo.
Is that a Thursday release?
That'll be a Thursday release.
Okay.
Yes.
So Thursday release, Caden MacDonald
Parody
on
song.
YouTube, parody song.
Just talking about the summer.
Did Tom help you in there?
Tom did help me.
The
Tom?
co-host of Aunty Donna.
Oh, yeah, Tom.
He helped
shit.
you make it.
Yeah.
You're all friends.
It's great.
Yes, Tom and Caden are tight.
Everyone is mates. It's been great. We've enjoyed it. Big shout out to Derek, who's been paneling for us. Unbelievable work. And Chase, of course.
Yeah, Chase.
Thank you, Chase. Thanks for sitting there. Yeah. Did you enjoy it? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Do you say that at the end or something?
We normally play a song by Short Shadows.
Oh, okay. Can I say Don McClarty? You might the hardcores will remember this. Don McClarty.
I know his son Tim. Great guy.
The pre-roll for the MFC website. He'd go for a progressive ad. He'd go, be progressive and support the Demons. So we'll sign out on that.
All right, done. See you later. We'll see you next week.